All right. Oops. Welcome. Welcome. Testing. 1, 2, test. I hope that is good levels, but we will see. Hello, and welcome to the Black Ponderer. I'm Neil Trotter, the host of this YouTube channel. And here at the Black Ponderer, we talk about philosophy. And primarily, we read philosophical texts and just do some philosophical analysis on those texts. But sometimes we do the free balling it. We just talk about philosophical themes, and we kind of hang out and chill. Oh, hello, Nadia. Hello. Yep. So think of this like a chill session. You know, imagine you're in a cafe or a lounge, or you know the seating area, kind of when you go to like a bar or a club. You know, you got that pool table and there's seats around, and you can chill. Not the dance floor, but the area in the back where you're just chilling, and maybe you got yourself a drink or not, whatever. So it's more like we're just relaxing, we're having a good time. And today we're talking about this artist, Edward Hopper, and what's going on. How are you this weekend? I'm cool. What did I do? Oh, I helped a friend move. They just got a house. They bought a house, so they moved, and that was cool. Helped them do that, and I did. I'm part of the Food Not Bombs group, so did some food deliveries for Food Not Bombs, and that's cool. And did some various things. went with my wife to pick up mulch for some tree protection, and just the normal stuff. But that's cool. I hope you had a good weekend. But yeah, we are talking about this artist right here, Edward Hopper. And so, we got this bad glare. It is what it is. What are you going to do? So, I buy this. I don't buy these, but these are library books. Libraries are great, right? Libraries are awesome because you could buy, you could check out. You can check out. Although you can't buy because the library I go to has a little bookstore where you can buy books for the cheap. But I don't do that. I just go to the library and you can check out coffee table books. It's called the oversized section, right? And you could just you could check out some really nice, expensive books. Like a lot of these coffee table books where they're like $80 to $100, probably more sometimes. Just check them out. And I do that a lot because this is kind of what I do instead of binge watch a lot of Netflix shows, or I just kind of buy. I don't buy. Well, sometimes I do, but I check out a lot of coffee table books, and I just kind of chill and just go through the books. And that's fun to do. And that's kind of my entertainment. So this is kind of like I'm just taking you along for a ride, or like how I kind of chill out sometimes. I have one of these coffee table books that I just go through them, and that's kind of how I roll. And so we're talking about Edward Hopper. Edward Hopper is he made this famous painting, which bigger version of it in the book, without all that glare. Very, very famous painting, right? I mean, chances are you've seen it. It's called Nighthawks. And Edward Hopper deals with loneliness, the concept of loneliness, and he deals with people who are, you see people are with other people. It's not that they're necessarily alone, but they're struggling with loneliness. Now, it's fascinating because this is a topic that has been resurfacing because of the internet, and people are talking about social media is actually making us more distant between each other's, and we got a lot of comparing one another and a lot of like chasing likes and subscription counts and we're becoming people where we're kind of adopting these pseudo like representations of ourselves, and so a lot of people are feeling very dissonant, very detached, even though like we're more connected now than ever before through the internet, and so people are talking about how social media is driving people to feel senses of loneliness or depression or anxiety, and they're making people feel more away from each other, right? And there's this there's people who are talking about, the internet is making this happen, and it's a new phenomenon, but it's actually not a new phenomenon, right? This kind of thing has been going on way, way, way before the internet, way before social media, right? This idea that you can be very lonely, even if you're in a married situation, you're a couple, and you got like somebody living with you, you can still feel very lonely, right? And that kind of situation has been written about and explored through art and literature for a long time. And Edward Hopper, he's really explored this issue, and we'll talk about that. That's just really nice. One cool thing about this artist as well is he's also a huge influence in pop culture. Right, a lot of cinematographers, people who make filmmakers, will credit a lot of their influence off of him, and you can see a lot of his paintings have been adopted into like famous scenes, and that's really cool. I mean, this does kind of look like an Alfred Hitchcock type of like image, or like a Casablanca type of old school black and white film noir type of image. And Edward Hopper was really kind of the person that spearheaded that whole like alone but in a metropolis type of feeling. You know, you even see it in movies like Blade Runner, like what that steampunk, where that Blade Runner really tackles that issue, right, of feeling lonely even though you're like surrounded by people, right? That's one of the themes of that movie, and you can definitely see some Edward Hopper influence in that movie as well, and kind of like not steampunk. Did I say steampunk? I meant cyberpunk. Cyberpunk. A lot of that cyberpunk genre kind of wrestles with these kinds of issues too. And then, yeah, you were just saying it reminds me of film of noir. Yeah, and you know, Hopper here addresses that. Let's dive in. Now, this is I'm still working out this setup. So let's see how this goes. I can turn on another light, but I might have some glare. Let's see what if I turn on this light. How much glare do I have? Not much. Okay, because it's not plastic. Excellent. And that's a self-portrait of the guy. You know, the text is by Lloyd Goodrich. And, you know, I think I'm not going to read the text unless we're just going to go over some pictures. Let's just do that. We might read text, I don't know. Yeah, there's no glare at all. Excellent. And this is another one of his famous paintings. It's called House by the Railroad. And, you know, if you're like a film buff, right, this kind of house appears a lot in like really famous films, right? Whether it's horror films or a lot of thrillers, right? You'll see like, you know, even House on the Haunted Hill or whatever. You'll see this kind of house, right? And you know, you do get those vibes of loneliness. You know, these structures that are kind of imposing. They're kind of, you know, how do you describe it? You know, it reminds you a lot of what is it that brutalism. You know, so I mean, it's not brutalism. This is like Victorian, but what I mentioned the brutalism because it's a lot of big ass imposing structures where you feel like, you know, there's this kind of dissonance, this loneliness. Now Victorian stuff, like you don't get that, but Edward Hopper depicted these kinds of buildings in that same sort of vibe of like alone by itself, but you know, it's kind of this juxtaposition between a lot of things that are going on, but it's a lot of emptiness, which is it's pretty fascinating. He's able to do that. And we'll just go through it here. He's, you know, the author's talking about the acknowledgments. We won't go through that. Okay, let's turn to some stuff. The early years. You can't even see it because the camera. The early years. You can't even see that, huh? Somebody highlight it. It's a library copy, but the I'm sure like the library acquired this copy after somebody probably donated the book to the library. Who's highlighting the library? Not me. I didn't do it. So what's going on? I'll read the highlight. His art was based on the ordinary aspects of contemporary United States in city, town, and country, seen with uncompromising truthfulness. Ooh. His art was charged with strong personal emotion, with a deep attachment to our familiar everyday world in all its ugliness, banality, and beauty. Okay, let's check that out. And these are early works. Boyhood and youth. Study. Oh, okay, so this is like stuff he did when he was young. Got the some sketches. I think what we want to get to the good stuff, but this is a lot of his early stuff. We'll just go through it. Why not? Let's just go through it, see how far we get. Oh, and these are pictures that he was influenced by, not stuff that he actually did. Ooh. Yeah, got some influence. That's cool. Okay. Or what's this? That might actually been him. I don't know. Early paintings. Okay, let's get to the early paintings. So, you know, Edward Hopper really focused a lot on, you know, architecture. He really did that architecture. Maybe I should put the camera on the other side. Well, I guess it's going to depend. Let me move it on the other side. Okay, and then Nadia says, a short bio. Born in Nyack, New York, to middle-class family, Hopper's early exposure to art was nurtured by his parents. He studied at New York. Cool. Uh-huh. Yeah, no, it's important to look at the context of what people are coming from. So if you really get into his biography and you start learning about, you know, it's more like what I find interesting is his later life, where I think he struggled with his marriage. I think he was with his wife for a long time, but they did struggle with their relationship in terms of happiness. From what I've seen and what I've read, and you know, I mean, that's a thing that happens in many relationships, and he, you know, so a lot of his influence was based off of that, right? His, you know, he's with this person, his wife, but he's like, man, but I still have these issues of loneliness, even though I'm living with this person. And you know, is that complicated? Is that interesting how that works? That tends to happen. All right, so we got ship. Works of the 1920s. Let's see some good stuff. American landscape, the etching. So you're already starting to see the building. So another thing about his works is that because there's a lot of emptiness in architecture and, like, you know, and landscaping, these go great with scenes. They're very photogenic, or they're very cinematic. They make great scenes. So actually a lot of filmmakers would just look at his paintings and be like, oh, I'm actually gonna model that for the scene. Hitchcock did that a lot. I mean, many films. I'm thinking about the famous North by Northwest, where the James Stewart, I think is the actor. He's running away from a helicopter that's shooting him. Just like one of the famous scenes, and he's kind of in this Edward Hopper. It's kind of he's like kind of in this cornfield, artist like playing. That's similar to this. I think he does see like one house, but he's like in this field, and this plane is trying to like shoot at him, but and this empty space, and you feel like he's like by himself. It's pretty cool scene, but it's definitely inspired by Edward Hopper landscapes. What else we got? Of course, we got the bourgeois, the bourgeoisie. Yeah, I love. Yeah, you probably can't. So let me zoom in. You know, the couples making out, rich. So he was all about that, representing middle class. Well, more so upper middle class, I would argue. Maybe upper middle class wasn't much of a thing in the 20s. Maybe there was just the straight up middle class. Nowadays, like, it's kind of like opposite, where it's like, you know, in the 20s, they had the Great Depression and all that. But now, like, middle class is slowly dwindling. I guess I'm middle class, but damn, middle class be struggling. It used to be the case. Middle class was like people who just didn't struggle. They weren't rich, but they were kind of, living comfortably. Now, middle class, we struggling just as I mean, we're not as bad as people who are like really really out and about, right? But yeah, I would say like in today, upper middle class. All right, we got some stuff here. We got some evening wind. There's a nude figure, and he draws a lot of nudes. That's true. He actually uses his wife a lot as a model. Let's see here. These are. Let me. I'm gonna have to shift the. All right, yeah, we're gonna have to do this a lot. That's fine. That's fine. I'm flexible. Train and bathers. Okay. All right. Night on the L train. Oh, you can't even see that. So a rich couple again. So he draws a lot of couples. That's the other thing. So the couple is a large topic in Edward Hopper's paintings. Okay, the cat boat. Hello, Sim. Yeah. Hello. Hello, unpronounceable. Username. Glad you could be here. Night Shadows. So now you're starting to see the loneliness pop up. And these isolated buildings. Let's go back here. Zoom in. Let's see. I gotta try and make this straight. I mean, that's good enough. So this is another thing with Edward Hopper. He likes putting lone buildings at the top of like cliffs or mountaintops or like large hills. He likes doing that. It creates this sense of isolation, but these structures, these imposing figures, kind of like it feels kind of like towering, right? It's kind of like some great thing is over you, and you get this sense of like not only kind of loneliness but dissonance, this imposing lonely dissonance, right? Which honestly, like, what is that really? Depression, right? That's what you got that going on. I believe he struggled with that as well. House on the Hill. Hello. Yep, let's do it so you can see. Switch. I need more pronounceable name. Well, whatever. You do you. Just because I can't pronounce, it's all good. Guess I'll just call you Sim for now. All right, then he got this. No. Okay, let's go. Okay, now he's talking about oils and watercolors. Success in print and growing recognition undoubtedly account for the fact that about 1920 Hopper began to paint more in oils and with a new assurance. So he switches primarily to oils because that's what got popular. And look at it, he's just doing his architecture. It's just awesome. I love it. I love it. Let's do the old switcheroo again. Okay. Oh, hello, Simon. Cool. a room. That's a nice study. And we're still like the early works, you know. We're about to get, uh-oh. It's a library. Is it due? No. Is this for me? 19, am I late? No, I renewed it online. Is this, it's saying this, that's old. I think I was using this as a bookmark, but I already got a bookmark. Cool. So we're just seeing some cool landscapes. Which is we haven't got to the good stuff yet. But we're starting to see he's really building his chops with his landscape work. I mean, sorry, his architecture work. Talbot's house. And these are just sketches. Cemetery, awesome. How often do you pick up coffee table style book? I pick them up all the time. I love coffee table books. They're like documentaries, right? It's like watching a documentary. Yeah, they're awesome. All the time. Lighthouse. Yeah, y'all need to see this, the black and white stuff. Let me flip. Can I? Yeah, okay. Because that's cool. That's some excellent perspective. And again, you got this kind of isolation, this like property alone by itself, lighthouse and buildings. It looks like one person or one family or group lives there, and that's about it. Got this isolation to it. And he just studied this stuff. He would paint multiple perspectives of the same thing. There it is again. Again, you got that on top of the hill. He loves doing that. It's like, let me draw this on top of a big ass hill. It creates a nice effect. Same thing here. Ooh, hello, pelicans. A sense of height as well. Yeah, he does. Yeah. There you go. I like this because it's showing you how he's painting the same thing, the same subject, multiple perspectives. He's really trying to study and wrap his his artistic vision around, like, what am I trying to portray here? What can I get out of this? And also just practice. Getting good. Height, perspective, vanishing points, color, and he does the black and white stuff too on the other side. He's doing it. And of course, drawings from the nude. Of course, like great artists will draw nude figures to get anatomy. And one of the cool things about Edward Hopper, as many of the old school artists, is that they kind of drew bodies that just kind of, they weren't like Barbie dolls, right? They were just like normal bodies, average bodies. And we kind of need to get more back into that, because nowadays you go to the store, you look at an anatomy book, and it's just like model figures. Now you can go buy like photo packs where they got models that are, have barely any clothes on, or nude, just doing like action poses, but they're like super fit and athletic. And that's like, it's kind of hard to draw real life because most people don't look like that. But I think now, like, it's for it's interesting because I have a lot of artist friends who tried to get into the show business, but they want a certain kind of person or thing, and you know they don't want reality. So you're seeing a lot of you know, just fantasy, but it's not even good fantasy. It's kind of played out fantasy. Like these are actual models. And, you know, I think it's cool to show this kind of stuff because get some real life, and you know, so he do anatomy. You know, he practiced. Very good. Very good. Also shows you how, you know, the great skilled artists, they practice. They practice. They get their sketchbook out and they're like, hey man, I gotta do this. So that's pretty cool that they show his, you know, his architecture practice and his human anatomy practice, because it's kind of building you, showing you like a foundation of like, hey, this guy, he really worked on his craft. Now they talk about his marriage and personal life, which I hear, as I heard it was like, you know, it wasn't the happiest marriage. I have heard he stayed with his wife, you know, for a long time, many years. I don't think they ever broke up or anything, but that's what I heard. Let's see if I could just do a short thing. In his private life, these years brought great changes. He married painter Josephine, versatile. Okay. Vision. Hopper. She also had been a Henry student. Okay. Let's see. Both of them like to see new places. So they are both artists. Unfortunately, like, you know, oftentimes that's the case, right? You have two people, they're both have a profession, but usually like the man gets all the credit, but you don't hear nothing about the woman who is also doing work and artwork and stuff like that, which happens all the time, and that's kind of sad, but it is. I also hear like she modeled for him a lot. Okay, I was saying, Joe Hopper, on the other hand, was as articulate as he was laconic, with a lively sense of humor, as opposed to her husband, who was not so. They could be appallingly frank with each other. To hear them sometimes, one was convinced that they were at the breaking point. But with all their verbal clashes, there was no mistaking their deep mutual attachment and dependence. So, you know, there you go. That describes a lot of that, their relationship. And so I'm emphasizing this because this is, and the book is emphasizing like his relationship with his wife was a huge influence on his work. Right? That's a self-portrait, and that's a portrait of his wife. And there's his wife doing her own painting. Right? Where's the book about her? I don't know. All right. Here's some more studies. And here's just some real life pictures of the guy. Yeah, average looking dude. Okay, the American seat. Oh, sorry. Okay, you can't even see that. The American seat. Now, I think now we're starting to get to the good stuff. The stuff, the popular national character in art. Portrait of America. Okay. I love it. I love how I have to keep switching. That's fine. Okay, that's cool. So now that he's got, you know, he's got his architecture down, he's able to, got his landscaping worked out, perspective. Now he can describe, like, okay, now I'm going to describe America. And you see this kind of, and look at it. Okay, so now we're getting to the good stuff, right? let's see if I can put this in the whole camera. So look, these towering buildings, like one person said, yeah, Pelicans was like, he really communicates a sense of height well. Yes, these little figures in these tall buildings, but like Edward Hopper, he likes to portray humans alone, even though like there's multiple people in this image. They're all alone, and there is this sense of kind of loneliness. I think that's supposed to be. Oh no, that's not a flag. That's just a gazebo type of structure. But yeah, it's like you're already starting to see that metropolis loneliness. And now we get into the city. I'll read it. The contemporary American city was the center of much of Hopper's work, whereas the Henry Group had used the city as a background for human activity. So the Henry Group is the group he studied under. Hopper concentrated on the city itself, that huge complex of steel, stone, concrete, brick, asphalt, and glass. He was one of our first representational painters to realize the pictorial possibilities of the modern city, in the case of New York, and the many kinds of visual material it presents. And then I think this is important on the bottom. There are never any crowds in his pictures, never the hurrying tide of humanity that fascinated a painter such as Marsh. After he chose the hours when few or no people were abroad. An empty street before anyone woke up. All right. Yep, that's what he enjoys that. He enjoys depicting that. Yeah. And here, it's saying, I think this is pretty important description of the work. Uh-oh. I'll just read out. In many of his urban subjects, individual men and women do appear, but as parts of the whole scene rather than in leading roles. The woman undressing for bed, the dinners at a restaurant, the bored couple seen through their apartment window, the solitary passerby in the street at night, are integral elements in his version of the city. But their environment is as important as they are. Usually they are alone, seldom are more than 2 or 3 gathered together. Often they seem isolated in the wide impersonality of the city. They seem to epitomize the lonely lives of so many city dwellers, the solitude that can be experienced most intensely among millions. On the other hand, they are portrayed with little feeling for them as individuals and without much attempt at characterization. Indeed, in his less successful works, his people incline to be inanimate and wooden, like lay figures, with expressionless, mask-like faces. Only rarely are they shown in motion, and then the results are not always happy. It is not in these directions that Hopper's strength lay. Okay, so he's not about expressing emotion. He's about showing the emotionlessness of human existence sometimes, or lack of emotion. Let's see some examples. Look at this peeping Todd like window. So there's another. Come on, Edward. You're gonna be a little more classy than that. But there's a famous the famous Hitchcock movie called Rear View. I think it's Rear View Mirror. I think it is. James Stewart stars in that too, and I think it's about a guy who's he's like he broke his leg or something, so he's kind of out. He has to stay at home in his wheelchair. Yeah, I think he's like in a wheelchair, just waiting for his leg to heal up. And so he's bored. He starts. It's an awesome film. It's awesome. I saw it as a kid because my mama is a huge Hitchcock fan, and we would watch Hitchcock movies on TV. I think it was like AMC or A&E or one of those channels. Turner Classic, I forgot what one of those. And he would just in his boredom he would look at scenes like this in the movie. It was obviously I got some fingerprints on there. It was obviously inspired by Edward Hopper, because you would see it. I would encourage you maybe check that film out. It's pretty cool. Look at that. Oh, damn it, my camera. I bet in OBS there's like a thing, a command or some programmable thing where you could switch the camera's positions instantly or something. I don't know. Yeah, so Edward Hopper does this a lot. He paints like naked people, kind of like sad. He does that a lot. And this is very much indicative of our times. I mean, you can imagine instead of like looking out the window, the woman would be like looking at her cell phone, like her phone, right? Doom scrolling, right? But it's that very common style, theme that's explored. So, this is famous Edward Hopper, like a couple, but they're not paying attention to each other. The guy's reading, and the woman's doing her thing. And what is it called? Room in New York. That's what it's called. Hey, a page has been cut out. Huh? That's library books. Oh well. I didn't do it. Now let's talk about light. Well, how does he use light? Light plays an essential role in Hopper's paintings. Whether outdoor or indoor, natural or artificial, its exact nature, its source, direction, and color are as fully realized as the objects on which it falls. It is an active element of the pictorial concept. So now we're getting to the point where it's cinematic, right? Director of photography, like he's using light in a way to convey mood and tone and themes, right? Isn't that cool? Like you can use light to do that. You can manipulate light to actually communicate a theme or a concept, even not just a mood or a tone, not just a vibe, but actually like some sort of like concept. Right? It's like loneliness or like dissonance or like anxiety. Right? I guess anxiety would be a mood as well. But that's also, anxiety could also be a theme, like anxiety why, like the reason for being anxious. You can do that with light. And that's basically what film cinematography kind of is, right? Well, I guess good cinematography. Now, of course, this is a very famous image. You fold it out, full size. I think I'm gonna have to hide the camera. I don't know what is going on. Okay, drag it down. Do something. Okay, let me move that camera. What's going on? Yeah. Oh, I got a glare. Well, it's called Nighthawks. Look it up. Let me hide my camera for a second. Is it this one? Yes. Let's see if I do this. What'll happen? Oh no, maybe it's this. Is that what it is? Okay. Now what if I do this? Is it too dark? That might be too dark, but you know what? It conveys the mood. See, I'm doing the light stuff. What if I turn this on? What'll happen? Yeah, that's cool. This is his masterpiece, right? This is the image that he's most famous for, and we could kind of spend some time to talk about this philosophically, right? Oh no, it's a bit too dark. Is this too dark? Well, let me know if it's still because I turned on another light, so maybe it might not. I might just this is better. I could also just bring up the internet website, but we'll just use that for now. This is better than before. Okay. So as you can see, you got these two couples, right? And they aren't even looking at each other. No, she's like preoccupied. He's kind of like, it looks like he's trying to talk to this guy, the vendor, but the vendor does not seem to be looking at him. He's kind of doing his own thing, and I think he's like kind of half-ass listening to him. He's kind of, how some people will just go, yep, yeah, okay, and they're just like kind of responding to them, but they're not listening. And then you got this guy who is like, he's just in his own, he's just, I've been there. He's just like, damn, how am I gonna pay my bills? Type of, he's like, he might be on his third drink there. And then the rest of the scene is just completely empty, sparse. And why does this resonate so well with so many people? Because it just kind of accurately portrays a lot of like life in the city or like modern day life. You're with people. This is kind of how you feel a lot of the time. It's like, nobody's really paying attention to me. I kind of don't want to pay attention to anybody else. And isn't that fucked up? Right? It's kind of giving that general vibe of, just give me my drink and, whatever. Sitting at the bar is kind of an interesting idea because you don't face each other unless you intentionally face them. Oh, cool. I didn't know who painted this. Yeah, that's Edward Hopper is the one. Yeah, no, that's true. Because you don't face each other. Yeah, the only person you face is the bartender. And sometimes that's cool, but sometimes that could be annoying to the bartender, right? But yeah, that's interesting. But a lot of times, I actually go, I sometimes, not so much anymore, but sometimes I still do. When I was really young, I used to go to the bar with a book and read a book. So I'd kind of be like this guy a lot of the time. And people would be like, are you okay? I'm like, dude, could I just read? Could I just, just leave me alone? I just want to read. They're like, this ain't a library. I don't know. I'm one of those people who needs, background noise. I'm one of those people. Anyway, let's keep flipping. Let's turn back on the lights. Yeah, I love being around people. Let me get my camera back. Yeah, I love being around people. I guess the word they call me is ambivert. There's introvert and then there's extrovert. But I'm like one of those people who loves to listen. Like I don't really talk unless I'm spoken to, except when I'm on YouTube, right? I kind of listen a lot, but I do love being around people, and I could just be in the background. That's fine. And ordering a drink while reading, yeah, that's great, man. that's good. I love it's nothing like having a drink. You know what I'm saying? A drink while getting to read, a little buzz can go a long way when you're reading a really complicated text. I used to drink while reading a lot. Like I would read the Hegel or Kant, and I Like, I'd have a lot of drinks and I'd be like kind of, you know, borderline drunk pretty much. And then it would be as if the philosopher was talking to me. Right? It was like we were having a conversation at the bar. Right? Like I was starting to hear the person's voice while because that's what the alcohol was doing to me. And I loved it. You know, some of the most complicated philosophical books I read were at bars at like, you know, midnight or like 1 a.m. And there'd be like a crowd of people yelling and screaming. But, you know, I'm able to, I'd enjoy that very much. So, I have a very different experience in Hopper. Oh, that's cool. Oh, not that. I mean, that's cool too, but we'll go here first. Because this kind of shows you, it does a close up. And then you're saying, all your talking happens on YouTube. Yeah. I let it all out online. And then Pelic broke, spirit actualizing itself. Woke, spirits actualizing itself. Okay. Yeah, say your piece. I'm not really, you kind of lost me there, but hey, you know, there you go. Do you still drink while reading a lot? Yeah, man. I mean, sorry, I'll say it. I use man in the gender neutral, because I'm from California. Got that hippie. I got that hippie vernacular in me. I use the word like a lot. I also have a valley, even though I'm not from the valley. But I use like, and you know, I talked a lot like a valley girl. A lot of even like black people from the ghetto, we still got that California vernacular. You just don't notice because we don't sound like a 60-year-old cheerleader, but it's there. Spirits as liquor. Oh, okay. Now I'm starting to make the connection. Cool. Yeah, so it's just a close-up. Yeah, it's they closed up. They made a close-up here because they wanted you to really see that this couple, they're not looking at each other, all right? And she's preoccupied, but she's not really preoccupied. She's kind of like bored, and in a way, she's kind of like, ugh, this guy. Like, I don't even know why I'm here. You know, and kind of what is it, like an uninterested, borderline like insulted, like oh yeah, this guy. She's just looking at whatever, and he's like not acknowledging her, and he's trying to talk to this guy. He's like, hey man, just give me a drink with that. But he's like, huh, what? Dude, I'm trying to work here. Like didn't I already give you? I mean, come on, man. It's like nobody is paying attention. Meanwhile, you have this naked lady right here. But again, you know, if we do a little seriousness, again, it's like one of those situations where very lonely, kind of isolated. I think the nudity, Morning in a City, kind of complements or like further communicates this tone of vulnerability. And like she's like, man, I am really lonely. Like I am so lonely. Like I'm so lonely. I'm naked. I don't care. I just don't care. Like I guess I think the nudity really does like add to the communication of the theme of loneliness. Yeah, so I think it's quite effective, to be honest with you. The country. See, Hopper didn't just do the city, he also did Hopper painted the deep country as much as the city. Okay, so what does he have to say about the country? He just likes it. He just likes the landscape. He's like, yeah, this is like good loneliness. This feels, I think he lived in the countryside, right? And he very much enjoyed that wide open loneliness feeling. But I think this was more of not so much trying to critique. Let me bring my camera back. It's not so much like with the city. He's like, isn't this crazy? Like we're all together, bunched up, but we have this lonely dissonance to about it. So it's kind of like there's a negative to it. Whereas the country, he's like, yeah, you're kind of by yourself. You feel lonely, but it's good. You know, I like this kind of isolation, which many people who fall in love with the country living, they enjoy that very much. Let's keep going here. I mean, these people just look rich. I'm just not. What is it called? Groundswell? Although it still looks lonely, but I'm getting like Lana Del Rey vibes. Was it Norman fucking Rockwell is the name of her album? I'm getting that kind of vibe from this, which again, like, yeah, she definitely Lana Del Rey definitely. Whether I'm sure she knows, right? Some people say like she doesn't even know she's been inspired by. I'm sure she's well aware. Like, yeah, no, I got a lot of that from him. Reality into art. That's what it says. All right. Okay, what's going on? The process of creating. Okay, cool. Talking about creating, how he did it. Again, lonely person. It's too bad you got this halo right here. That light. Sorry, that's my ring light. Oh, that's actually pretty important. Let me see if I can get rid of that. We'll try. Let's try. Yeah, you're not going to see it, but if you would like to look it up, it is called New York Movie. So they're watching a movie. They're in a theater. And it's a bunch of people. It's actually not that many. It's like 1, 2, 3. It's like people. There's a few people watching the theater, but she's like alone. She's like, nah. She's preoccupied. I mean, what can you infer with this? Again, it's that whole like city live. It's like people are doing stuff, and it's supposed to be like people together sharing a moment, but oftentimes that's not what's actually happening in reality. Like, and I guess that's what they mean when they say, what is it? Reality into art. Like, we like to think that we are sharing moments and we're like grouped together and we're having a good community moment here, sharing this experience of this film. Or this is just an example, but oftentimes these types of things are happening, right? Or we're not sharing in the moment, even though we're there, but we're kind of preoccupied in our own situation, our own worlds, and we're quite lonely. I love how it is really, I'll leave the camera. Well, maybe I need to bring that back on. Yeah, I love how, because, you know, our modern day, our generation, millennials, Gen Zs, we think like, and even like baby boomers is like, yeah, man, social media has really made us dissonant, and it's, you know, depression has increased, and you know, of course now it's actually definitely more reported instances of depression and anxiety, but I would argue like that's more because we're actually taking these conditions seriously as mental health disorders and conditions, right? Whereas like people suffered from depression and anxiety during like the 50s, the 20s, the 30s. It's just, you know, they weren't like actually classified as clinical conditions. So, but people were still struggling with this kind of stuff, for sure. And I mean, Edward Hopper, you know, oh, it folds out. Okay, cool. Look at that. It's kind of ripped. I didn't do that. That's a library, baby. Okay, that's a sketch and that's the real thing. another example. uh, you know, the guy and the lady. The guy, and he's in a way he's kind of like. Let me see if I can close up to it. Might have to turn on the ring light. Let's see how that looks. Okay, that's not bad. The guy's like, look, I'm trying to talk to you. I'm saying something, and she's like, yep, not trying to hear it. Not trying to hear it. But then it's like, I don't know, is he? It seems like maybe he's trying to talk to her, but maybe he's not. Maybe he's just like, maybe it seems like he wants to say something. Sunlight in a cafeteria, that's what this is called. He's like about to say something, but the words aren't coming out. Maybe that's more what's going on. He wants to say something, but he can't. Shyness, nervousness, or, it might not, it could, I imagine maybe they've known each other for like, maybe they're a married couple, been married for like 10 years, and they're like, they still have communication problems. That's like Edward Hopper, not Edward Norton, the actor. Edward Hopper, the artist. He that's a lot of what he portrays. Oh yeah, like come on. Let's check this out. If that's not Lana Del Rey vibes, I don't know what is. That is clearly some of that Americana, but taken to like that dramatic effect. Lana Del Rey. That's the word. That's what's coming out of my head. I was gonna say like Marilyn Monroe, which kind of like Lana Del Rey, kind of taking off that trope. But Marilyn Monroe like put on that veneer of like happiness, giddiness, but she struggled a lot. That was hidden. Whereas kind of Lana Del Rey flips that. She's kind of like struggling in her music, but I don't know what her real life is like. Probably not. In real life she's like a different person, right? She's not this Americana person. But anyway, what's going on? How can we combat loneliness as a society? It's so attached to how our society is structured to believe we are independent from one another. That's a great question. I just think like, I can do it very well. I personally like. I guess I'm lucky. I don't have a problem with loneliness in modern day society. I just think like we gotta make friends with, like we gotta value our friendships. And the problem is the image right here. I think a lot of times we're too focused on like aesthetic, or like giving off an impression that we are somebody that we're actually not. And I think we're just so focused on like portraying this version of ourselves to the world. That's not who we are. Like we have no energy left to like actually build meaningful relationships. But same thing here. Right. So I think it's cool to just kind of be yourself and just make friends with people on a general, like get to know people genuinely. Like fuck the Instagram accounts and YouTube channel. That's one of the reasons why I started the YouTube channel. And like I do the lo-fi thing, and I don't buy expensive cameras. So a lot of that's on purpose. I remember, when I was doing a lot of my YouTube stuff, I'd have like a dread like hanging in front of my face because I was like, fuck it. It's giving it like, I'm tired of this. It annoyed people, and I did that on purpose because I'm like, I'm tired of this like pretty aesthetic Uh, you got to see the real me. And if you don't like it, then fuck off. I think we got to get back to that. Be like, why don't we just, we got to get to like, look, this is who I really am. And if you don't like that, then bye. But I think real, true people, like your true homies, will they'll be receptive to that. They'll be like, oh, okay, you're showing me the real you. I like that. Some people really do like genuineness, if that's a word, insincerity. They really do like that. But some people are just too focused on putting this image on, and I think that's a lot of why loneliness exists, is because people are so focused on like manufacturing this version of themselves that they can present to the world and say, look at me, this is who I am, and it has nothing to do with who they actually are, right? And people just are, nobody is like allowing themselves to connect with their connect using their true selves. They're just connecting with this false representation of themselves. And then they're like, well, why don't I have meaningful relationships? Well, because you don't really have, the relationships you have with people are based off of these false constructions, right, of yourself. And so nobody really knows who you really are, right? So you can't really formulate meaningful connections, because it's all based off of your relationships are based off of false ideas of who you are, right? So I think that's like, so to solve that, we got to be more true to ourselves. And a society doesn't help with that at all. It's like, that's why I'm kind of a feminist, because I think in feminism, that a lot of that is about like being your true self, like, kind of down with the patriarchy, meaning like, look, like, let's not put ourselves in these little boxes. These like, I'm a man, so I'm this, and I'm a woman. Like, I don't even know who you are. Like, you're just this construct based off of this societal, this social construct, and I don't really know who you really are. And it's I don't know. That's what I think. For some folks, it's hard to make friends. Yep. Well, you got a friend in me. If anybody on the stream, if it's hard for you to make friends, whoever's watching, hit me up. Send me an email. I got Discord. I'll be your friend. And it's just that easy. All you gotta do is be authentic. That's it. That's all just be kind. Just be nice. That's all. What is my criteria for friendship? Just be nice. So I just throw that out there. I think if more people just kind of threw that out there, like, hey, you can be my friend. It's been nice to get to know you a bit through YouTube and other social medias, though. Yeah, no, you can. I'm open because I think that's good. A later work. I like this guy. She got a robe on, but it's like open. I mean, you can, so much cinema you can reference so many films. This guy loves his like seductive dressing. You seem like a good friend to have. I think it's sometimes hard to find people like that and make those connections. It can be hard. I blame society. I blame call me woke, but I blame patriarchy. It's hard because, like I said, we're just too focused on being a man's man or a lady, a lady's lady, or or whatever. Like, I'm a Republican, so I'm this, and I'm a Democrat, so I'm this. Oh, I'm a liberal, so this, and this. And, oh, I'm a philosopher, so I need to read this. It's like, nobody cares. Like, that's not what's important, right? I'm a YouTuber, so I need to like buy expensive cameras, and I need to make sure I have this many number of subscribers. Like, that means nothing, right? we have these categories, these labels, and then we like we like construct our identities based off of these labels, where rather it's like, okay, what makes me happy? What actually fills me with joy? Like, okay, I need to pursue that. But yeah, I think that's why it's hard. It would be nice if there were more male nude characters in his work to balance the female ones. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. Wouldn't that be nice? I would love, again, that's why I say it. Down with the patriarchy. And you know why there's mostly female nudes, right? Because, patriarchy and the objectification of the female form, right? Here we go again. Now, this was actually, I remember seeing a documentary about this one. This was his wife. He modeled his wife off of this image. But still, like, you could, he was we're not excusing that, right? He was a famous painter. He could, like, hire a male model. He could go to, like, those universities where they had the naked models. I remember I used to walk past art classes and they'd have the naked models, which was like, okay, cool. And they'd have a lot of male naked models too, of all body types. Right? So there's no excuse. Here's some light, right? Here's an exploration of light that conveys that kind of mood. Sun in an empty room. Alright, I think we are about to reach the end. 3 statements by Edward Hopper. Okay, so he's talking. Are there any more? I'm sure there is. Yeah. I think we will end here. I'm just flipping through. Unless somebody else, if you want to say, have any more discussions. And with this person who's reading, because that's what we do here at the Black Ponderer. Let me flip the script. Let me do this over here, like so. Because in the Black Ponderers, we read. So in here, and then you're saying, I want you to check out Josephine Hopper's artwork to see the juxtaposition. Yeah, where's the book about her? Will you go back and read the text in this book? If you want. If you want to. That might be like a Patreon exclusive to do that. Now you're on Patreon. I think you're a patron, so that works. That works. I mean, on your own. Oh! I thought you meant like on the video. Yeah. I will. I read it. It's actually not even that much. At least that's one of the other cool things about coffee table books. Usually, it's not that much text compared to the the pictures. You can oftentimes, I will. You can oftentimes a few days. You can read sometimes even an afternoon. But I think a book like this has lots of text, so probably a few days, which it'll be fun to read up. So then I'll learn something, and it's cool because you learn when you read it. It's like watching a documentary. These coffee table books, they're awesome. Oh, and Odie has the book. Cool. What, does it have a price tag on it? Sorry, just looking. No, it doesn't. I bet you can probably buy it on Amazon for really cheap. But I don't know, there might be better books about Edward Hopper. I don't know. This book seems very good though. So cool. I just want to thank you for joining me this Sunday night. For me personally, it was a lot of fun, and yeah, this is kind of I do a lot of this. Rather than I mentioned it many times. Some people ask me like, "How do you read so much?" It's like, "Oh, I just don't watch TV." So, what do you do for entertainment? This is like one of the things I do for entertainment. I read a lot of coffee table books, which I check out at the library. They got like hundreds, right? They have the oversized section is what it's called. Then you just like all these coffee table books that are basically like documentaries, right? And I'll just like you spend an afternoon or a night and just read, look through them, and it's like I go like from cover to cover. It's really you can learn a lot about things. It actually builds your knowledge. It really helps with like pop culture. It's funny. It's so funny because I don't really watch that many films or like watch that much TV, but I know a lot about TV and film because like I'm familiar with like a lot of what modern television and film and like music is inspired off of because a lot of this modern television and movies and even music are inspired or influenced heavily off of these old artists, which is kind of funny. So it's a great way to familiarize yourself with pop culture without actually watching pop culture or consuming pop culture, which is kind of funny. I love the Sunday evening sessions. Why do I not do Sundays? What do I do? Oh, I have a book club. I usually do. I have book club meetings on every other Sunday. So maybe I can move it around. When I can do Sundays, I'll do it on Sundays, and when I can't, I have to do Saturdays. So, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But I'll keep that in mind for Sunday scheduling. Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time, whether it be my typical philosophy text videos or another live stream. Bye-bye. See you later. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, make sure I don't want to end before answering everybody's. Another one next week. I don't know about a Sunday one because I might have a book club meeting at this time, unfortunately. But I'll Saturday. But I understand. Like most people are like partying on Saturday night, so I get it. Right? You can't be here on Saturday, but Sundays often I'm booked. So we'll see.